Hi.
Alright, hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're brand new here, my name is Nikki and this is my book nook. Y'all, we need to talk about something, okay? Colleen Hoover. If you're in the book community whatsoever, even if you're not in the book community, let's just say if you've ever stepped foot in a bookstore, you probably know the woman's name and you probably know at least a couple of books by her. I mean, the woman has countless books, countless bestsellers. Everybody talks about her. I have talked about her extensively on this channel, but the one book of hers that I have literally never seen anybody talk about is Too Late. It's the book that we're talking about today. I didn't even know that this book existed until I went to Colleen Hoover's bookstore in Sulphur Springs, Texas, and I saw it there. I was like, what is this? You can clearly tell by the cover. The vibe of it is very different. It doesn't have like flowers or hearts or butterflies or rainbows on it like a lot of her other books. I don't think she has rainbows on any of her books, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't look like a traditional romance book at all, but guys, I've been saying this and I'm gonna continue to say this. Colleen Hoover is meant to write thrillers because that is essentially what this book was. Verity is very well known. I've talked about it so much. That book, she just has a way. She has a way of writing things that just make your heart rate spike. Like, I got multiple jump scares from Verity, and aside from Verity, Layla is another book of hers that is very different. It's not as much a thriller, but it is like a paranormal sort of like mystery romance. They just both have these elements that are just very different, that kind of like creep you out, kind of like leave you in suspense, and she's just so good at it. I think it's the best thing that she does. I mean, she really can kind of write anything, but I think that is her strong suit and I really want to see more of it. So it is safe to say when I read Too Late and realized that it was a very different book, it was a very intense book, a very kind of dark and twisted book, I was honestly floored by it. Like, it was so good. Don't get me wrong, it nauseated me at times for sure, but all in all, it was really, really good, and I don't understand why more people aren't talking about it. So that is what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna walk you through it. I'm gonna give my basic sort of spoiler-free synopsis and then my final thoughts. But yeah, guys, let's just get into it. So Too Late follows this girl named Sloane. She is a college student, and we learn that Sloane has had a very sort of rough life. It's been a bit of a roller coaster, but ultimately she's now in college and she has ended up with this boy named Asa. He is her boyfriend, and we understand and know that Sloane really does have love for Asa. Like, she's been with him for a while now. He's been her rock, like her home, and she does have love for him, but we do understand that there have been a lot of hard circumstances that has made her be in a position where she really kind of needs to have a boyfriend, and especially Asa, like, he's really been there for her in so many ways that like she kind of wouldn't have been able to survive without him. So yes, they love each other, yes, they're in this relationship, but let's just say it's not the healthiest thing and it's not like the best foundation for a relationship. Asa is an interesting guy. He's very much a charmer, but he's involved in a lot of sketchy shit that Sloane is not really a fan of. You know, he sells drugs, he's involved with just some not very good people, and she doesn't want him to be involved in this, but it's just kind of like all he knows and the way he is and the way he like makes his money and functions. And so it's kind of like a tough point of their relationship among a lot of other things. But yeah, we start out and we meet them, we see their relationship, and Sloane is starting a new year of college. So we follow her to her first day of college and to her new Spanish class, where she ends up meeting this boy named Carter. And right off the bat, I mean, obviously Sloane has a boyfriend, but her and Carter kind of like hit it off. Like, they kind of have this like good sort of chemistry between them. They have to kind of partner up for like an assignment in class, and you get to see from Carter's perspective, because we do switch to it, that he's very enthralled by Sloane. She's a very interesting girl. She definitely catches his eye. But the interesting factor here is that Carter is actually an undercover cop, and he is at this college for his most recent assignment, and we learn that his assignment just happens to be Asa, Sloane's boyfriend. So he has met Sloane, does not know currently of her connection to Asa, but is, you know, kind of attracted to her, intrigued by her for many reasons, feels drawn to her, but he is ultimately here to find Asa, sort of insert himself in Asa's friend group, get involved in these sort of like drug dealing sketchy activities so that he can ultimately bring Asa and his whole like team of people down. So you can see how that would create for a very sticky situation, because obviously like Carter and Sloane being in this class together, they befriend each other, and you know, they're gonna like bond a little bit more, but then we're gonna obviously see Carter enter this world with Asa that Sloane is very much a part of, because she lives in his house with him where all of these things take place. And Asa, let's just say he's not a person that's thrilled with Sloane having friends that are males, or really just any friends that are not her. Asa is a very controlling, twisted kind of person, and we really get to see that because this story is also told from Asa's perspective. This is a like triple point of view. I don't think I've ever read another book that has 3 points of view, and it is so interesting because this is just such an interesting dynamic happening here. Like obviously we see Sloane, who is clueless of Carter's reasonings for being here. She has this boyfriend. We understand it's a complicated situation with Asa. Again, she has love for him, but she doesn't have love for like everything he's involved in and all the things that he does, because he's kind of not a great person. But also she's like not gonna be unfaithful. She's, you know, friends with Carter, intrigued by him, but knows it can't be anything more and wouldn't endanger him with Asa and his antics and the way that he is. But now with Carter getting closer and getting involved in Asa's business, like he's around all the time, and obviously she doesn't know that Carter is an undercover cop. And then when we're seeing from Carter's perspective, we see his dilemma of like he's here for his job, but also he's concerned about Sloane and wants to protect her, and is obviously feeling attracted to her and needs to keep his shit together so that he can, you know, do what he's supposed to do and take Asa down and not be suspicious. And you know, he has this desire to like let Sloane know who he is, but he can't because that would compromise the mission. And then aside from all of that, we're seeing Asa's perspective of like what he's doing, how he is, how messed up and twisted he is, and his thoughts about Sloane. And you can see how he truly does like love her, but it is a very sick and twisted and ugly love. Colleen Hoover pun there. And you know, as much as you hate him and you want to hate him, you also like, it's so interesting being inside of his head, because I feel like so rarely you get to be inside of the villain's sort of head. Like you get to kind of see like some flashbacks to his past and his childhood and how screwed up that was, and you can see how that really kind of made him the way that he is. And you know, you're seeing him and what he's thinking as Sloane and Carter are spending more time together, and his sort of thought process. And it's just, it's such a like interesting dynamic story, the way it like jumps around between all of their perspectives, and you know as the reader like what all of them are thinking, but they don't know, and there's so many like missing pieces of who knows what. And let me just tell you guys, like this story, it got so intense. Like there were points of this book where I was like white knuckling it. I was so stressed out. Like Colleen Hoover is a person that's like, never let them know your next move, because genuinely at several points I had no idea what was gonna happen, and I was so stressed out. Like I was so nervous. There were just so many twists and turns and unexpected things, and every time you thought it was gonna go one way, it went another. And there were just times where you like wanted to shake the characters because you thought they were being stupid, and there were other times where you just like loved them and understood them. And when things were like revealed and everything came to a head, it just was like bonkers. Like I truly flew through this book so fast because I couldn't put it down. Like I absolutely had to know what was happening. It was keeping me up at night to not finish it. So it is safe to say I enjoyed it, and I definitely think everybody needs to go read it that's a fan of Colleen Hoover, but honestly is a fan of other things. Like if you're a Penelope Douglas fan, and I'm not saying that because it's like a super spicy book, but it's a very like dark and twisted romance. I mean, I will say like every trigger warning in the book, genuinely. Like it's a pretty fucked up book. Like you see a lot of bad things, and it's bad. I'm not joking, every trigger warning. It's really dark, it's really messed up. If you're sensitive, if you got a sensitive stomach, if you know, are wanting like a happy-go-lucky romance, or you think it's like a romantic thing where the guy swoops in and steals her away from the boyfriend and it's just really sweet and wholesome, like no, like the entire thing is just messed up mentally, physically, like it's even kind of like gory and gross at times, but I kind of enjoyed every minute of it. The one thing I will say is like the book was structured a little bit weird. You know, you do have the 3 points of view, which I did love, but there is like a main part of this story that takes up about like 65 to 70% of the book. I'm saying the percentages because I like read it on my Kindle, obviously, but you see this main part of the story and you see it like coming to a head and you're like, oh my God, I feel like there's like this story's about to end. Like how is there like 35% of it? And then everything kind of blows up and then you literally see the book say the end. Like it says that it's over. And then there's like an epilogue. And then you actually jump back after that to years before and you see like before this story took place, you see Sloane and Asa like meeting for the first time and like their, you know, interaction and how they grew closer and sort of ended up together, which was interesting, but it was just like kind of odd to me, like where it was placed in the story, because it's like literally the story was kind of over. So then you like get the epilogue and then you jump back and you start seeing this, and then there's like the second epilogue where it's kind of like the aftermath of everything that is happening in this story. And it was all very good, but I'm just like a person where in general, when I read the word epilogue, I'm thinking like, okay, the story's over, like I'm skimming to the end now, because normally an epilogue is just something short and sweet. It's your like happily ever after, it wraps it up in a bow, and I'm just not a big epilogue person. I know that's kind of like a scandalous statement to say, but I'm just not. So I think it just like messed with my brain the way that there was like 30% of the book left, or maybe even more. It might've been like 40%. And I read the words the end and then it went to epilogue and then, you know, went back and then there was more epilogue. It's really just a continuation of the story. Like the story wasn't over, but the pacing just felt a little odd because it obviously got so intense and everything blew up and then this happened and then, you know, you kind of see the aftermath of it and it just feels a little bit drawn out at the end. Like it was hard for me to kind of like continue to care towards the end because I feel like I just exerted so much energy on that first part of the story, and like it was just so intense that I was kind of like mentally exhausted a little bit by the time it got to that. But still, all in all, I wasn't mad about it. I mean, it's kind of nice to experience something different. I'm always down for like a different structure of reading and a different structure of like narration. So I really liked it. Seriously, I don't know why it's not more talked about. I think maybe just because it's not like Colleen Hoover's normal book, and like books that are similar to that and people that read books that are similar to that like that is really their taste. I don't think they would think to read a Colleen Hoover book because they don't think it's gonna fit in with that at all, but this one does for sure. It was very good. It was off the rails again, triggering and kind of nauseating, but I loved it and I want it to be on the map and I want more people to read it and more people to talk about it. It's on Kindle Unlimited, so go and grab it. It'll be a good time. I promise it's not what you're expecting. But yeah, guys, that is it for me today. If you have read Too Late, I would love to hear your thoughts down below. If you agree with me that Colleen Hoover needs to write more thrillers, I feel like we need to get a petition started because I'm so serious about it. I think they're her best books, like straight up. I mean, Ugly Love is my entire heart and soul, y'all know that, but like, this is kind of like a little trilogy trifecta, holy trinity of the Layla Verity Too Late. And I think they're great and I want to see more of it. But yeah, guys, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for watching and I will talk to you very soon. Bye.